At the dawn of the 20th century, Germany was widely considered the most prosperous and advanced industrial power on the European continent. When World War I broke out, the German military swept forward with immense confidence. They successfully mobilized a massive fighting force to wage war simultaneously on two separate fronts. For years, state propaganda promised the German public a total victory. So when the military leadership suddenly sued for peace in late 1918, the civilian population was completely blindsided by the sudden defeat. The resulting 1919 Treaty of Versailles struck a crushing blow. The Allied nations forced Germany to sign a war guilt clause, accepting full responsibility for the conflict, and saddled the new republic with massive financial reparations they could not easily repay. This visualization shows the scale of the military penalty. The once massive German army was restricted to a strict limit of exactly 100,000 men. In less than a decade, a proud global superpower had been stripped of its military, buried in debt, and internationally humiliated. This created a profound psychological vacuum across the country. The wounded public began searching for someone to blame and someone to fix it. Into that vacuum stepped an obscure former World War I corporal named Adolf Hitler. He had little formal education and no clear career path, but soon discovered a highly effective talent for hypnotic, aggressive public speaking. He tapped directly into the nation's boiling resentment. He promoted the false stab-in-the-back myth, loudly telling audiences that the German army hadn't actually lost the war, but had been betrayed from the inside by socialists and Jewish citizens. Hitler used this rhetoric to take control of a tiny fringe group called the German Workers' Party. He quickly became its president and rebranded it the National Socialist German Workers' Party. This geometric breakdown illustrates his deliberate approach to visual branding. He personally designed the party's new flag, intentionally using red, white, and black. These were the colors of the old, powerful German Empire, deliberately chosen to contrast with the colors of the struggling new democratic government. By combining an ancient symbol with a modern, dynamic layout and then multiplying it across posters and armbands, he gave a fractured society an easily recognizable badge of strength. This combination of inflammatory oratory and calculated graphic design allowed the party to effectively market its ideology of resentment to a traumatized public. To expand this organization, Hitler recruited key lieutenants. Hermann Göring was a glamorous, highly decorated fighter pilot whose presence gave the Radical Party an air of mainstream military credibility. Heinrich Himmler was an eccentric, deeply frustrated patriot. He brought a cold, schoolmaster's bureaucratic ruthlessness to the organization, and Joseph Goebbels, a university-educated writer, provided the intellectual framework to amplify the party's propaganda to a national audience. In November 1923, inspired by Mussolini, Hitler grew impatient. He attempted an armed overthrow of the regional government in a Munich beer hall. The violent coup was a disaster. The police opened fire, several of Hitler's supporters died in the street, and Hitler himself was quickly arrested and put on trial. But his resulting prison sentence forced a strategic reassessment. While writing his manifesto, Mein Kampf, he concluded that a violent revolution against the military would always fail. To destroy the Democratic Republic, he would have to use the legal tools of democracy to get elected first. The catastrophic Beer Hall Putsch provided the Nazi movement with a set of dedicated martyrs, a unifying founding myth, and a strict legal strategy to pursue absolute control. For a few years after his release, that strategy stalled. American financial loans began flowing into the Weimar Republic. Factories spun back up, and the German economy stabilized. Without immediate economic pain to leverage, Hitler's extreme rhetoric found very little traction. His political machine shrank to a marginalized, easily ignored fringe faction. Then came the autumn of 1929. The Wall Street crash abruptly collapsed the global credit system. The ripple effect on Germany was immediate and catastrophic. Millions of jobs vanished practically overnight, and mass desperation returned to the city streets. This time, Hitler had a system waiting. The striking branding, the disciplined inner circle, and the rehearsed narrative blaming external enemies were perfectly positioned to absorb a population that suddenly had nothing left to lose. The Nazi Party gained absolute power by systematically exploiting this economic collapse, proving that radical movements thrive when a society stops believing its own institutions can save it.